guys, it's Anissa. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are doing a video that we do every single month on this channel. I shopped my makeup stash with you guys today for the month of October. For the month of October, I put new makeup in my everyday makeup drawer with you guys, and then I kind of sit down and use some of those products and chit chat and let you guys know what's been going on in my life over the past month. And let me tell you, this was definitely one of the more chaotic months, easily. I will list all of the products that I picked for this month down in the description box. And again, like I told you guys, those will be the products that we're used to make this look something simple, winged liner with some gold eyeshadow. Before you get any further, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. I post on this channel every 4 days, so you never have to miss me for too long. But yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. I kind of yesterday, out of nowhere, pretty much had like a mental break is what it felt like. But I just was so overwhelmed by the amount of makeup that I had. I was like, okay, we've got to do some decluttering because some of this makeup has been sitting in here for forever. And it's not that I haven't tested it, it's just that I haven't tested it and I know how I feel about it and I just don't use it. Filled this whole bin up with makeup that I'm going to be getting rid of. Some of it I may hold on to for like if I'm ever doing like a full face of e.l.f. makeup or TJ Maxx makeup. I actually went ahead and picked all of my makeup for this month. I still wanted to show you guys what I picked out. Went ahead and rearranged some of these drawers, got rid of stuff that I just know I'm not going to use. I guess we can start on this side. Some of the products I have specific reasons for picking. Others I just picked it because I haven't used it in a while and don't know how I feel about it. First, we have the Hourglass Mineral Veil Loose Setting Powder. I've only used this once or twice, and honestly, I'm really not wowed by it, but I want to use it consistently for like a couple days. That way I can get a more consistent feeling of it, because the thing is, sometimes when you use makeup sporadically, you forget how you feel about it. I think the reason I wanted to declutter too is because there is so much makeup that I have tried that I just loved from the beginning, and that was the end of that. So I'm kind of like trying to make that my new standard for things. Like if I wouldn't recommend it to you guys, then I just want to get rid of it. The LANCOME Loose Setting Powder in the color Translucent. I also had this in my drawer for last month and I did not use it, but I actually used it today, and the reason I hadn't used it a lot in the past was because when I first used it, it had like a pinkish tint to it, but it did not do that today. It was completely colorless, so it looked really pretty underneath the eyes. I went ahead and pulled these two for the same reason. This is the Too Faced Born This Way Loose Setting Powder in the color Translucent Deep. Also the Fenty Beauty Loose Setting Powder in the color Hazelnut. I have not used both of those in forever, and they're higher end. I want to kind of go ahead and get my consensus on them, and if I don't like them, go ahead and get rid of them. And I've also found too, I'm trying to be a little bit more picky, especially with my high-end products. Like for instance, I really like the One Size Beauty Press powder, but I decided to get rid of it because I think that the Beauty Creations is clearly it's cheaper, and I think it does the same thing but better. It's a lot more blendable, so that's kind of what I was trying to keep in mind. Also, for the same reason, I went ahead and used this NARS Light Reflecting Setting Powder in the color Sunstone. I used that today. Next, I also went ahead and kept this in the drawer. This is the Hard Candy Translucent Sheer Envy Loose Powder in the color Translucent. When I used this, I'm pretty sure that it had flashback, but I think that I held on to it because it did a nice job of smoothing. If it looks good on the skin and it has flashback, I really will not mind the flashback because it looks good. As long as this is really translucent and looks smooth, then I just won't wear it when I take pictures. But it's also kind of inconvenient too, because when you're doing your makeup, you gotta be like, oh, well, that one doesn't have flashback. This one does have flashback. We have a lot of loose setting powders, but I made sure that a lot of them had color because last month I didn't pull any powders with color. CATRICE HD Baking and Setting Loose Powder in the color CO5 Neutral Bronze. This was actually really nice when I used it, so again, just got to use it a little bit more, and I think that this will be used underneath the eyes because it's a little too light for all over the face. I have two shades of this Bare Minerals. Let me pull out the other ones. I have the shade Neutral Tan 21, the shade Medium Dark 23. So let me open these real quick, and I'm actually just going to get rid of the shade that I don't want because honestly, I'm to the point where like I don't need multiple of things. Like one is enough because realistically I will never use all this makeup. I went ahead and swatched them. The one on the left is 21, the lighter one, and then the one on the right is 23. So I'm gonna keep 23 and then I'll give 21 to my mom because that actually may be a good shade for her. Lastly, just two pressed powders. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear 365 Copper. I love the foundation in this, and I actually used the concealer, which I also pulled that we will get to in a minute, and I really like both of those products. And lastly, just this Makeup Forever powder foundation. This is what it looks like. Really like this when I used it, when I tested it out. Most of these products have really only been used once because I try so much new makeup all the time time that it's hard to keep up sometimes. Next we can do cheek stuff. First, for cream blush this month, I pulled these NYX Sweet Cheeks. This is the color Bombshell, and then this one is the color Coralicious. Pretty sure that they do what the e.l.f. putty blushes do to my face. They like pull the makeup off from underneath, and I used them today, and I'm pretty sure that they semi did that. It was honestly kind of hard to tell, but I felt like they disturbed the makeup just a little bit. When I was putting my highlighter on, it just did something really weird. For blush, we pulled two blushes. So the first one is this Flower Beauty. This is their powder blush in the color Barrymore. Honestly not bad, but I just need to figure out if I want to keep it or not. The only thing that I like semi turns me off about this is that it has shimmer in it, and I'm really not a huge fan of shimmer. Now in blush, I can do it, but bronzer, definitely not. Next, this is the MAC blush in Raisin. I just wanted to use this because I really liked it when I first had it, but now I'm starting to question if it's just a little bit too brown and dark for my liking. It has a good formula. Just got to use that with a couple more products. I'm actually kind of glad that I got to pick my makeup out first this time, because I've gotten to use some of the products. For lip balm, we just have the e.l.f. Mighty Mint Ride or Die lip balm in the scent Mighty Mint, and then we have a new lip balm. This is the Tree Hut Sugar Scrub Lip Butter. I actually like all of my lip balms. I'm wearing this lipstick today. This is the OFRA liquid lipstick in the color Las Olas. I love this color. It's super pretty, especially when you pair it with a brown lip liner. Okay, this I think I'm gonna get rid of and replace it with something else, not because it's bad, but because I think the color is a little bit too light for my liking. The Makeup Revolution X SOPH lipstick in the color Syrup. Even if I pair it with like a brown lip liner, I just don't like the way it looks. I do want to go ahead and replace it with this lipstick that I don't use very often. This is the Maybelline lipstick 657 Nude Nuance. It's supposed to have a matte finish. I do need to pull a new lip liner because I am going to go ahead and also get rid of this Essence lip liner. This is in the color Because Duh. I'm just getting rid of this because it's a little too light for my liking. It had a good formula though, so I do want to try it in a different color if I can find something darker. I'm actually going to replace that lip liner with two other lip liners. Go ahead and mention all of them quickly from left to right. This first one is the SOPH X Makeup Revolution lip liner. This came in a kit. It came with a lip balm or something like that, and I'll put the name down below. Then the ColourPop Lippy Pencil. This is in the color BFF2. I actually really like this color. It's like the perfect mix between brown and pink. This is what I have on my lips today. NYX Slide On Glide On lip liner, and this is in the color Intimidate. I like this formula better than their original lip liner because it's a little bit more creamy. And then just for a true brown, this is the e.l.f. Retro Paradise lip liner in the color, this is just the brown one. I have this lip gloss from Dominique Cosmetics. I've had it for forever and I just really do not use it. Like, it's not my shade. It's not something I would wear. Instead, we are going to pull these two NYX lip glosses. So this first one is the NYX This Is Milky Gloss, and this is in the color Milk the Cocoa. For the original NYX Butter Gloss formula, this is the color Bit of Honey, and I like both of these. These are going in the basket. And again, some of that makeup I will hold on to, but if I can find somebody who wants to take it and give it a good home, then I'm gonna give it to that person. Back to your scheduled program. Gone through this side, now we can go through the primers. Hydrating primers. By the way, these are both supposed to be similar to the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. So this first one is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Dew Primer. When I used this, I honestly was like, because it's just so super sticky. Like, the Milk Makeup is not sticky to me, it's just tacky, and this left a really weird residue on my hands. This I actually used today. This is the Dermablend Instagrip Jelly Primer, and this also was very sticky like this, but when I used it today, I let it sit in the skin for a little bit longer than what's recommended, and I thought that it did a really good job. Then for smoothing primers, we have a couple different ones. So this first one is the Touch in Sol No Pore Blem Primer, the smoothing and pore covering. When I used this the first time, oil pumped out of it originally, which is not a good sign, especially for somebody who has oily skin, but it did an all right job. Also only used this once, so I really can't say much, but this is the Essence My Skin Perfector, and this is a tinted primer. So it's supposed to be blurring with a natural matte finish, but also have a little bit of coverage to it. So I thought that that was really unique. I used the Tatcha Silk Canvas today on my skin, and I liked it a lot better than I did the first time. Don't know if I would pay this much for it because I also really like the e.l.f. Putty Primer, Milani No Pore Zone Mattifying Primer. I used this in my full face of Milani, and it did something really weird. It was like balling up on the skin. I don't know if it's because I used another primer with it, so maybe this is just one of those primers that only likes to work on its own. She's a free agent, maybe. And I also changed my drawers, by the way, so I did want to tell you guys this drawer in the back, if you guys can see, it's collapsing a little bit because there's so much makeup in it. So I decided not to pull palettes anymore. I'm gonna give myself the option to pick. Same thing I do with my setting sprays. I don't pick ones for the month. Next we can do foundation. This one is the KVD LOCKUP Full Coverage Foundation in the color Deep 76 Warm. Honestly, I feel like when I tried this, it didn't get a fair chance because the powder that I used with it was so dark that the video was just awful. I still to this day think that when I used this foundation, that video is one of my least favorites that I've ever filmed. Also just used this in a TikTok. You guys haven't even seen this on this channel yet. This is the CoverGirl True Blend Matte Made Foundation in the color D10. Also really liked it. I didn't keep it on for a long time, but I like the way that it applied. I don't know if it was this actual formula because they have multiple now, but this was one of the first formulas that I ever used for foundation was the True Blend. Also want to use this Makeup Forever HD foundation. It's way too dark, and when I used it, I did not put lightener in it like I should have. So I want to see what it looks like when it's truly my color and how it applies. Today, I actually used the Marc Jacob. This is the Remarkable Full Cover Foundation, and this is in the color 82 Cocoa Light. Let me know if you guys know if they are going out of business, if they're rebranding or whatever. I used it today and I really liked it. Although I will say the formula can be a little bit messy because it is so thin that you have to be careful, but it had really good coverage. It did not dry down either. It had a natural finish, pretty, and it had good coverage today. I haven't used this in, oh my gosh, what feels like centuries. This is the Il Makiage Woke Up Like This foundation in the shade 200. This stuff I feel like was so popular for a hot minute when it was like a customizable shade foundation type of thing. I have a whole review on this foundation, and honestly I don't remember how I felt about it, so I will leave it up here for you guys to check out. Also something that's a little bit more expensive, so if I don't like super love it, then I'm just gonna get rid of it. Also gonna be using the Milani Screen Queen Natural Finish Foundation in the color 500 Natural Toffee. I really like this when I used it in the full face of Milani makeup, and as a plus, it is affordable. I was really surprised about how much I liked that initially, actually, so I'm excited to use that more. And then lastly, for just liquid foundation, I have the Rare Beauty foundation, and this is in the color 450N. The reason that I wanted to go ahead and pull this was because I was using the Rare Beauty concealer all last month, and I really liked it. I always like to pull a stick foundation or a foundation in a pot or something like that. This month, it's gonna be the Milani Cream to Powder foundation in the color 280 Spiced Almond. I've only used this in the dupes video where I compared it to the KVD. I just feel like stuff like this is really convenient, especially for travel, because you don't have to worry about liquid and it getting messy and stuff. This month we're going to use the Juvia's Place stick foundation. I have 3 of these, but this one is in the color Jacmel. I really like this for carving out the brows, so I figured that I would go ahead and use it all over the face since their foundations is one of my favorite of all time. Let me know if you guys like this setup more, where I kind of already pick out the makeup and actually try some of it and then go through what I picked with you guys, or if you like my traditional setup better. Let me know down in the comments. Okay, this stuff never moves. This is my Airspun powder that I set my primer with, and my NYX hue shifters that help me get a better shade match on my foundations. Next, we're gonna do, this is mascara, eyeliner, eye primer, pot eyeshadows. 2 mascaras for this month. First one is the Essence Lash Princess False Lash Effect Mascara. I used this today, and it did a really good job on my bottom lashes. Then I've only used this once. This is the Milani Highly Rated Mascara. Mascara is really something I'm not super big on. Maybe it's because I have lash extensions and I don't have to worry about my top lashes, only my bottom ones. So I'm not super picky, but as long as it's not hard to work with and I feel like it's pretty lengthening, not clumpy, it passes my test. We're gonna do eye primer. First one, I kept this in the drawer because it got buried at the bottom and I didn't even get to use it. This is the Milani eyeshadow primer. It's supposed to be lightweight, invisible finish. This is the CoverGirl Lid Lockup eyeshadow primer. I have never heard anybody talk about this. I've never seen any post about it. And it was actually pretty nice when I used it. Lastly, this is the Morphe eyelid primer in translucent. I lied, I have a pot eyeshadow primer too. This is from Kara Beauty, and this is their eye primer in the color tan. I used this in a full face of independently owned makeup brand makeup, so if you want to see this in action, check that out, but it did a decent job. Next are eyebrow pencils. I'll start with the one that I used today. This is the ColourPop Brow Boss eyebrow pencil in the color Soft Black. It did not do as good as I expected it to. Ever since I compared it side by side with the Benefit, I've really been questioning if I like this as much as other people do. I just feel like there's things that are a little bit better and a little bit cheaper. I actually really like this eyebrow pencil. This is the e.l.f. Ultra Precise eyebrow pencil. This is in the color Cool Brown. I really like this. And lastly, this is the Sephora retractable brow pencil in the color 11 Ebony. I did have 2 of these and I went ahead and decluttered one of them. 3 eyeliners. This is the one that I used today. This is the KVD Tattoo Liner in the color Trooper Black 10. This is honestly good. I like the applicator. I think it's super black, very pigmented. Haas Laboratories liquid eyeliner, color Punk. This next one I'm debating getting rid of. This is the NYX matte liquid liner in the color black. The only reason I'm thinking about getting rid of this is because it can be a little bit difficult to use because it is a brush. I prefer felt tip over brush 100% all the way. I think it's way easier to work with. Maybe I'll use this in the next couple days and just figure out if I want to declutter it. Then we have 3 eyeliners, and I think this is the one I used today. This is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On eye pencil in the color Demolition. It's a really pretty dark brown color. I have never used this one. I've had this in my collection for a very, very long time. This is the Elizabeth MOTT Smooth Shadow Creamy Eye Pencil in the color Raven. It's a really pretty black color. The only reason I'm holding on to this one as of right now is because it's the only black eye pencil that I have. I really don't wear a whole lot of black. I would rather do brown. Lastly, the Essence Long Lasting Eye Pencil in the color 2 Hot Chocolate. I used this also in the Full Face and Independently Owned makeup video, and I also like this too. Compared to the other product that I use with it, this worked way, way better. Concealer drawer. I know this isn't a pot concealer, but I use it to carve out my brows. This is the L'Oreal True Match Super Blendable Crayon Concealer, and this is in the color W678. It had not been touched until today for probably a good 6 months, and I was like, you know what? I really don't use stick concealers on my face. I was like, maybe I can use this to carve out my brows, and it did a really, really good job. It was very, very creamy. So, and that's the thing is like, it's really hard to find pot concealers at the drugstore. So I think I'm just going to start recommending this to you guys once I use it a couple more times. I don't want to speak too soon, but it did really, really well today. These I just put in rotation because I like both of them. This is the NYX Full Coverage Concealer in the color Caramel, and then the Benefit Boing Industrial Strength Concealer in the shade 5. We have a lot of concealer, and the reason I have so many concealers is because last month I only pulled 5, and I swear to you, I felt like I was using them so much that I was getting sick of them. First, I'll start with these two. These are the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealers. There's no shades in between these two, and that's what I hate because it's such a big jump, but they did really, really well on the face today. Like, I felt like my under eyes looked really, really nice. I'm honestly a really big fan of this whole line so far, everything that I have tried. Then went ahead and pulled an eye brightener. This is the Milani Supercharged Brightening Under Eye Tint in the color 130 Deep Peach. I didn't even think to use this today because I really don't use a whole lot of eye brighteners that are liquid. I have a lot that are powders. I did see a visual difference when I used it for the first time in the video that I tested it out in, and it seemed to look pretty underneath the eyes. I think that this will be a good topper. I know that some people just use it on their own, but I think that it would be better mixed with something. Matter of fact, I do have concealers that I don't like on their own, but they're really good with other products. Haven't used this in forever. This is the Black Radiance True Complexion HD Corrector. This one I'm actually really excited to try some more. This is the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer in the color Medium Dark 2.6. I used the foundation last weekend when I went on a little weekend trip, and I loved it. And I tried this a couple years ago. Ended up liking the Maybelline more than this, but when I used it in the dupes video, I was really impressed with this. I'm excited to use this, and I feel like it has a really, really nice color. I'm just gonna fly through these 3 because I really don't have much to say about them. I haven't used them too much. This first one is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Longwear Concealer, and this is in the color 160 Warm Tan. Neutrogena Radiant Cream Concealer, and this is in the color Golden Medium Deep 1. Flower Beauty Light Illusion Full Coverage Concealer, and this is in the color Deep D23. And then for high end, this concealer I struggle so much with because it's so light, so I will really never use it on its own. I'll use it with other stuff. Hourglass Vanish Concealer in the color Flax. All right guys, so that is my drawer. I'm hoping to get a lot of use out of all this makeup, and then maybe next month I can start pulling some stuff that I absolutely love, since we are slowly working our way through everything. All right guys, let's do some makeup. We're gonna go ahead and dive in because we have a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh, when I tell you guys this past month has been pivotal. Wow, I keep a list of things that I want to talk about in my Shop My Stash videos. Usually I have like 4 or 5 things. I have 11. Hopefully I get through everything. If not, I may just do like a little chit chat at the end. For any of you that care to stick around. I already went ahead, prepped my lips, so we're just gonna get into the brows. My birthday happened right after my last Shop My Stash video went up, and I would say that was the beginning of the chaos. I was born on 9/11, year after, and for my birthday this year, I asked to go to Chicago because I really haven't done a whole lot of traveling since COVID happened. And I just wanted to get out of town, do a little shopping, enjoy the warm weather while it's still there, because for a really long time, my family, we would go to Chicago maybe once or twice a year, but it was always in the cold time. So I've really only been to Chicago when it's warm, maybe 2 or 3 times. Oh my gosh, I'm almost out of my favorite brow pencil. I'll have to get another one. This year it fell on a Saturday. So all week I was like getting ready to go to Chicago, getting everything ready. The reason I chose Chicago is because it's not very far from where I live. I live in Indiana. So it's just a little quick like weekend trip type of deal. It's gonna be me, my mom, and my boyfriend. So on Thursday, my boyfriend said that he wasn't feeling good. So I was like, okay, whatever, you know, he probably just has a little bit of a cold or nothing too serious, right? Thursday goes by and he doesn't really get any better. So then Friday morning, I was supposed to run with my trainer at like 5 in the morning. So I wake up and I'm getting ready to train and everything, and he feels way worse than he did the day before. So I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't go, only because where I live, the COVID numbers are going back up. And me and him have both already we've already had COVID and we're both vaccinated. So I was like, oh, the chances of him having COVID are slim, but I would rather be safe than sorry, right? So I ended up not running. It is very, very hard to find COVID testing if you are not a healthcare worker. I work at a nursing home, so I can pretty much get tested anytime I want. We finally find somewhere. I get tested first. So we drove to my work and they tested me. I get tested, I come back negative. So I'm like, the odds of him having it are slim to none, right? I mean, like pretty much impossible. I take him to a local testing center and they test him, and I got tested again just in case. Like I was really in a paranoid state of mind. I'm telling you guys, sometimes, and I say this all the time because it's so true, you never know how you're gonna act in a situation until you're in that situation. So don't judge other people based on the way that they react, especially if you've never been in their shoes. We get him tested, we come back to the house, and I was supposed to get my hair done. I ended up canceling my appointment. We got him tested at around 9 in the morning. I would say about 10 o'clock, he gets his results and he's positive. For the second time, guys, for the second time. I couldn't even believe it. I started crying because I was so upset, because initially, first thing that's going through my mind is, oh my gosh, we're gonna have to quarantine again, and we're both gonna miss school. Like just really, really bad, inconvenient thoughts. I was like, we're not gonna be able to go to Chicago, which I was so upset about because I was so excited to go for so long. I called my mom and I told my mom, and my mom was like, well, since you're negative, you should probably come stay at the house, and he stays at the apartment. You're negative as of right now, so you know, you want to stay that way. But I told her, I was like, just because I'm negative now doesn't mean I will be negative tomorrow. I could be positive tomorrow and go over to their house and then give it to everybody else, if that makes sense. So you can still be a carrier of it, but sometimes it takes a couple days for it to pop up. So just because I was negative that day didn't necessarily mean it wasn't already in my system. So I was like, that really doesn't seem like the logical thing to do. We ended up staying in the apartment. I celebrated my 19th birthday in my apartment in quarantine. I honestly didn't do much of anything. I laid on the couch most of the weekend, and it was my weekend off. So I was like, it just seems like every time I have a weekend off, I don't get to do anything. You know, life happens. I was like, you know, I can sit here and be upset about it, or I can just keep on moving. So I had a relatively good birthday. I mean, it wasn't what I pictured, but I've just learned you have to be flexible with life. So my parents came and saw me at my window. Luckily, I had ordered myself cupcakes, so I got to eat on those. My boyfriend was actually pretty sick for a couple days, and then he started to get a little better. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I stayed in quarantine. I called the school and I told them, hey, like, I'm not gonna be coming to class for a couple days because I live with somebody who just tested positive for COVID-19. And you wanna know what they told me? They were like, well, since you're vaccinated, you technically don't have to quarantine. And I'm like, but that makes no sense because he was vaccinated and he still had COVID. Like, just because you're vaccinated doesn't mean you can't get it, which clearly he's like a great example of. I was like, okay, well, if I choose to quarantine, can my teachers penalize me for choosing to stay at home for a couple days? And they're like, well, depending on the teacher, technically you can, you know, get some unexcused absences, miss points, whatever. So it was just really frustrating. Luckily, all my teachers were very, very understanding. And my dad's a doctor, my mom's a nurse. So I talked to my dad and he said that if I got tested again on Monday and I was negative, I would be good. Because apparently if you test negative 3 days after being exposed, you're not supposed to be a carrier of it. I went and got tested on Monday, like first thing in the morning, and I ended up being negative. So I decided to go to class and everything, and I really still wasn't going much of anywhere except for work and school. And through the whole thing, I tested negative. He had to quarantine here for 10 or 14 days. Keep in mind, I work around older people. I also called my work as soon as I found out that I was exposed and living with somebody who had tested positive, and they also told me, they're like, oh no, you can come to work, and they were gonna penalize me if I didn't go to work. Now luckily I didn't have to work until Wednesday, so I didn't have to really cross that bridge of, you know, deciding, am I going to do what I think is the right thing for me morally and stay home, or should I just go to work? Everything ended up working out. By the way, I'm not using a palette, I'm using single eyeshadows. I honestly, you guys just witnessed a tragedy. Oh my gosh, that is so sad. Rest in peace. I honestly could probably repress it into the pan, but I'm not gonna go through all that. Well, now I can say I hit pan on an eyeshadow. Anyways, I remember what I was saying. Fast forward to like the beginning of October, we decided to just kind of shift everything over to that weekend and like move the Chicago trip. We also ended up going out to eat at one of my favorite restaurants out of town on Thursday night, so the Thursday before we left for Chicago. So that was more towards the end of September. Also, by the way, these shadows are from Colored Rain Cosmetics. I've never used them until today. This whole week that I'm talking about, I vlogged. I did a week in my life of a college student, CNA YouTuber, and I'll link that right up here for you guys. So if you want to see like more in depth of what was happening the week of the redo, not my actual birthday week. I want to live in Chicago for like a couple years and work after I graduate, just because I love the city life. I live downtown. I live in a like more busy area, but not compared to a big city like that. And I just love like being in the middle of everything. And I just learned this term today. If you've ever heard of FOMO, fear of missing out, I think that's what I have. So I just love being in the middle of all the action. Had a really good birthday redo, did some shopping, some clothes and some makeup. If you guys wanna know what makeup I got, I didn't haul the clothes because this isn't really like a fashion channel. I told you guys if you did wanna see more clothes, I would definitely do that for you guys in the future, but I do have a haul that I will also link in this video for you guys to check out. So yeah, it ended up working out. I knew it would, but I'm the type of person, guys, when things do not go the way that I plan for them to, it really makes me so upset and it throws me off because I'm such a planner and I love to know what's happening and what's going on. To go back to the vlogs, if you guys do want me to do more like week in the life, day in the life, lifestyle type of videos, I would so be open to doing that. That's something that I really would only do per request because that video took so long to edit. It ended up being like 45 minutes. I had hours of footage to go through. I've been debating if I want to do an apartment tour because everything is decorated. There's not any more major changes that I want to make, but I will say, this is kind of random, while I was in quarantine, I think I was just kind of getting sick of being in the house constantly. Kept telling my parents and my boyfriend, like, I want to move the furniture. I want to rearrange the furniture. So I don't know. I think I was just craving something to do, like change. Rarely do I ever sit in the house and have multiple days of downtime. The only reason I'm sharing what I'm about to share is because I did not know this going into college. I've shared with you guys before that I don't get financial aid because my parents make too much, but I did have some scholarship money. You're in your classes, whatever, right? And then about a month later, your bill comes out. So whatever you owe. So my bill came out, I looked at the day and I got on the website and everything like that to check it out and see how much I owed. And I look, and my balance was zero. I had extra money. So I assumed that if you had extra money that it rolled over into the next semester. Oh no, they deposit it into your bank account, which I thought was really nice because I mean, as a college student, it is nice to be able to use that money. When I looked too, there was some scholarships on there that I didn't even apply for. I got them because of my grades. I just thought that that would be helpful for you guys, especially for people who are pitching pennies and stuff. Apply for those scholarships because whatever money you don't use, depending on the clause of the scholarship, they will literally give it to you. Honestly, any expense that you have in college is a college expense. Personally, what I did with my money is I have been using it to pay my rent. That has been really, really nice. Personally, for my school, what they do is you go on the school website and they have a general application that you can fill out. And what they'll do is you fill out the general application and they will plug your information into different scholarships that they think you would apply for. Instead of filling out like 20 scholarship forms, you just fill out that one and the website plugs it in for you. So if you're getting ready to go to college, or if you're in college now and that's something that you're not sure if your school offers, like definitely look into that, because I got a couple scholarships that way too and I didn't even have to apply for anything. I thought that adding this pigment on the inside would just give a nice little touch. Big news that I have not been able to share with you guys like formally on camera. I got into nursing school. As long as I pass all of my classes, which we'll get to in a second, because that's another topic I need to touch on, I will get to graduate in 3.5 years instead of 4. So that will also save me a little bit of money. Me talking and doing my eyeliner at the same time is not even an option, so I will be right back. Wings are done. I'm getting like way faster at doing my wings the more that I practice. I had nursing school orientation last Friday. Not gonna lie, it was pretty boring. Also, something I wish I would have known before going into college is that if you know people that are already in college and are like a grade above you or 2 grades, 3 grades above you and have taken the same classes that you have, most of the time, if they still have their books, they will sell them to you for a lot cheaper. So luckily, I know a girl that went through the same nursing program that I am, and the book bundles, if you buy them from the school, are like $2,000 and you have to buy 2 of them. So she's giving me like a 75% discount. So like just saving money in those little ways that you think don't add up, seriously will. Right now I am in public speaking, introduction to ethics, microbiology lab, microbiology lecture, physiology lab, and physiology lecture. The microbiology and the physiology are together. They're the same class per se. It's a lab and lecture, so it's really 2 classes in one. I have different teachers for the lab and the lecture. Been getting really good grades. I've always been an A/B student. Most classes in college, you have easily more than 20 assignments, easily. So if you mess up on an assignment, it's not the end of the world. Like you can still make up the points in other areas. But for my microbiology lab, we only have 8 grades for the whole semester. So if you mess up, it's really hard to bring your grade back up. Well, we started school in August, okay? So we are well into October now. I want you guys to keep in mind, I literally found this news out the morning that I got back from my lovely Chicago getaway weekend. I have really been liking this primer. Do you guys see? This is how my brain works. Like the ADHD is so real. Anyways, all of my teachers have been putting in my grades at like a really good tentative pace, except for my micro lab. So we have 8 grades in that class, like I said. So before I left for Chicago, we had done 3 of the 8 grades. So you're pretty much halfway done with the class as far as grade-wise go. I'm thinking I'm doing good in the class, right? I'm getting high A's in all my other classes, so I assume nothing but that. Wake up Monday morning when we get back from Chicago and I look on my grade book and I have a 58.78% in my micro lab. So I'm failing. That was like really awesome to wake up to, I'm sure you can imagine. I will say he did put in our first grade a week after we had done it, because for that class, our quizzes are practicals. You have to perform the technique or whatever we're doing in front of the teacher. So it's not like a written quiz or anything like that. So I had gotten an A+ on the first day assignment. So that's also why I thought I was doing well in the class. We had taken another practical and then we had an exam. I got a 24.5 out of 50 on the exam and a 7 out of 12 on the practical. I have one friend in that class that I really talk to because it is an upper level class. It's a sophomore class and I'm technically a freshman, so I really don't know anybody in there. And so I text her and I asked her how she did on it, and she said she didn't do well either. So we get to class, and this is a Monday class. That day when I had found out, we went over the test, and he was pretty much saying that like nobody did well on it and like wasn't really taking credit for the fact that maybe it was his fault that we weren't doing well on it. When we had asked him what to study, he was like, just study what we went over in class. Okay, that doesn't help me. Like not even a little bit does that help me. We do have a lab manual, but we don't really use it. He doesn't teach that. So what he'll do is he'll like write the stuff on the board and then he's like, okay, go do it. And all of us are like, we have no clue what's happening. Honestly, when I got to the test, I knew I didn't do great on it because there was a lot of stuff that I didn't recognize, but he specifically told us not to really look at the lab manual because we didn't use the manual in class. So I'm like, why would I assume that I need to study the manual. Yeah, there was so much stuff on there. I was like, I am just really guessing. Unfortunately, this is a class requirements to graduate from nursing school. Luckily, this is actually a sophomore class. So I'm actually ahead. I took this class because I had a hole and I needed a couple more credits. So I was like, I'll just take this class and then it will lighten my sophomore 1 semester, which would be next semester. Keep in mind, I'm doing really well in the lecture part of this class. So why I put emphasis on the fact that he didn't put the grades in on time is because in college, there are certain deadlines that you have to meet, certain dates that you can withdraw from a class, and the later you withdraw, the less money you get back. So even if I did want to withdraw from this class, I would only get 25% of my money back. So I met with my advisor and I kind of told her, you know, my frustrations and that I was really upset, and I calculated on my phone exactly what grade I need to get on every assignment just to pass the class. We have an exam next week. I've been staying after class and asking him questions. I made my own study guide and stuff. I've been reading from the book every day, so I'm really hoping to just turn it around. I'm not gonna blame everything on him because I think I underestimated how much I would have to study for that class, because it really is an easy class. Here, this is what gets me. Practicals, we have to perform in front of him, but I only have that class once a week. You do something once and then you're tested over it. So he was talking about his office hours and stuff, and I was like, if we come in on your office hours, can we practice using the supplies and stuff? That way we do well on the practicals. And he literally was like, we just don't have enough material for that, so that's gonna be a no. Okay, so that's really cute. So I'm just gonna do the best I can, but good news, we had a practical last week, and I've been literally checking the grade every day to see if it went up. And this morning my grade went up by 6%. So, you know, it's just the little things in life. Like I'm trying to just give myself small stepping stones, and you know, just always having something to be excited about or something to be proud about. I've told you guys before, college is a completely different ballgame than high school. And I will say over and over again, high school did not prepare me for college. Luckily, I've always been somebody who really took the initiative for my education. But if you're somebody that doesn't, you are really gonna struggle in college. By the way, what my advisor had said, she was like, you could withdraw from the class, but you might as well stick it out, because there's one more deadline that I can withdraw, but I just need his permission. He can either give me a withdrawal or an F. And she said the only reason they ever give people Fs is if they don't show up to class, if they're not trying. I've never missed a single class. So what I'm gonna do is just stick it out until I think it's like the end of November. And if my grade still isn't where I want it to be, then I'm gonna withdraw and I'll just have to take it again. I'll still be ahead. I still lighten my load a lot for nursing school. I don't know if this is how it works at every college, but at my college, the nursing courses themselves don't make 120 credits that you need for that bachelor's degree. So there's like the elective classes, like the public speaking and the ethics stuff that you can take, that you take to get to the 120 that you need. I had told you guys, I actually did half days in high school, and I took a class per semester at my school that I go to now. So it really, really lightened my load. I don't have any more elective classes to take except for one. So I really will be able to just focus on my nursing classes and won't have to worry about all the other electives, which is like such a blessing. And I just think, you know, things really worked out the way that they were supposed to, because if I was gonna go to the college that was my first choice, a lot of my credits wouldn't have transferred and I wouldn't be as ahead. Not only am I graduating early, but I'm gonna have a super light load. So this semester, I think I have 16 credit hours, and this is the most I'll ever have. From now on, it'll be like 13, 14. I'm just trying to keep my head in a positive space. I'd probably say the last like major life change I've made is ever since school started, I have been working 2/12s because I thought that it would be better for me to work 2 days a week, the 2/12s instead of the 3/8s. Oh boo, was I wrong? Oh my gosh, those 12-hour shifts were killing me. Like I would always work my Wednesday, and then when I had my weekend, when it was my weekend to work, I didn't do anything over the weekend because I was at work all weekend. I made the executive decision that I'm gonna go PRN. And what PRN means is as needed. And actually, my first ever nursing job was PRN. But the only difference between this PRN job and that PRN job was my first one, they plugged me in wherever there was holes. So I didn't really get to pick and choose when I worked. So I still worked the weekends and stuff. But with this job, she'll text me every week and tell me what openings she has. And if I want to pick up, I pick it up. And if I don't want to pick it up, I don't have to. This is my last week. I work tomorrow. When I told her that I wanted to go PRN, I told her that I wanted to be done by the 23rd of October, but the 23rd of October is a Saturday, and that's my weekend to work. So I told her, I said, to help you out, I will work an 8-hour shift on that Saturday, but I really don't want to be there from 6 to 6. Honestly, I'm already clocked out and ready to be PRN. Yesterday, I picked up over the weekend. I picked up 6 to 10 on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So I worked 12 extra hours this week. So I knew it was a long shot, but I probably shouldn't have done that. And I was working yesterday and I asked her like, hey, is there any way that I can just work an 8-hour shift on Wednesday? Which I knew she'd probably say no, but I was like, you know what? There's really no harm in trying, because the worst she can say is no, which she did. But I was like, yeah, don't feel bad. Like, she felt so bad, and I was like, don't feel bad, it's really fine. And I said to her, I was like, well, at least I only have to work an 8-hour shift on Saturday. And she was like, what are you talking about? I said, you told me I could work an 8-hour shift on Saturday. Like, there was people standing around. She was like, no, I never told you that. I need you on Saturday from 6 to 6. I already have a hole where you're supposed to be on Sunday. Like, please don't screw me over. If I would have known that, I wouldn't have picked up the extra hours, because now I'm working even extra. This is my fall break, so I'm supposed to be like chillaxing, and that's the last thing I'm doing. I'm ready to take a 2-week break and just focus on school and, you know, live my life. And I think what really pushed me to make that decision too was I have worked since I was 15. There's been probably 2 months where I didn't have a job in between now and then. I'm gonna be working the rest of my life, so why am I trying to work so much now? My counselor, she was like, I'm just gonna tell you now, and they'll tell you this at orientation too, which they did. If you don't have to work, you need to quit your job, because you're not going to want to work and be in nursing school at the same time, especially once you get to your clinicals and all that stuff. Like, it's gonna feel like a job. So I was really hesitant, because I was like, that's just not what I pictured for myself. And I tell you guys all the time, like, I love my job, but especially like now is an awful time to be in healthcare. It is just so stressful, and everybody is short-staffed. Like, so everybody's working over. If you're not working over, you're working with less staff, which means you have more patients by yourself. When I work more hours, my mental health is a little bit more shaky, and I won't have to work the holidays. This year I was supposed to work Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. Over the past month, I have really just come to the realization that I have tried so many diets and stuff, and not just because I think I need to lose weight, but because sometimes, like, I'm like, okay, I could definitely make better food decisions. Every time I go on a diet, I'm just not happy, almost depleting myself of things that make me happy. Like, I tell you guys all the time, cookie dough and cheese stick, favorite snack on the planet. Probably not the best for me. I don't eat awful, but I don't eat the best. But I have been making sure that I work out 3 times a week. So I'm like, you know what? If I do a really hard workout 3 times a week, it should balance me eating whatever I want. This time last year, I was 175 pounds. I was as much as my boyfriend, which, you know, 175 pounds may not seem like a lot to any of you, and it probably honestly really isn't. No girl wants to weigh as much as her boyfriend does. Finally got on the scale for the first time in a really long time, and I'm down to 150. So I've lost 25 pounds just from exercising. I let myself indulge, but I don't let myself go crazy. So like, if I want to enjoy a piece of cookie dough, I usually eat a piece of cookie dough. I really don't drink pop unless I am at work during my 12-hour shift. Coke is the only thing that gets me through the 12-hour shift. I'm sick and tired of looking at the things that I wish I was doing and not looking at and being proud of myself for the things that I am doing, if that makes sense. I mean, I guess I was trying to lose weight, but I wasn't getting on the scale every week. I mean, I honestly hadn't weighed myself in months. So to see that I was 25 pounds lighter, and I honestly don't feel like I look a whole lot different, but you know, like when people tell me, you know, like, you look skinnier, when my jeans are starting to fit again, it feels good. I've never met a girl that didn't say that it doesn't make her feel good when somebody tells her she looks like she's lost weight, like in a good way. It just makes me really happy, because I feel like as the days are going by and the more that I'm discovering about myself, I'm just such a happier person. Not in every aspect whatsoever. I'm not perfect, and I'm not saying that. I'm so sick and tired of always looking at the negative and people pointing out what I could be doing better, and just focusing on what I am doing that is right and what I love. I've been making a lot of changes in my life, things that I think are gonna make me happier. I shared this with you guys in my vlog that every Sunday I make a checklist of everything that I have to do for that week, every day. So I'll show you guys really quickly. I make a checklist of everything that I need to get done in the day. I know it's blurry, but That's what my checklist looks like. For the first time last week, I got everything done on my checklist and it was like 7 o'clock. I'm used to waking up at like 6 or 7 and then laying down at 10 and still not having everything done that I wanted to. I think it was in that moment that I realized that I'm so young, and for me to not have as much downtime as I probably should is not healthy. But for me to not know what to do with myself when I have free time is sad. This is my last week part-time. Like I told you guys, I probably will take a good 2 weeks off. I'm not sure what YouTube is gonna look like yet for nursing school. I'm still thinking that I can balance the two, especially since I'm not working. This is something that makes me happy. Like, it's a hobby. I just wanna be able to like do more stuff for me. So like, for instance, that day, I have not got my nails done in 2 or 3 years. Ever since I started doing my eyelashes, I gave up getting my nails done. Well, I have the gel kit that I do my toes with and I do my mom's nails, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do my nails. And it was so nice to just sit there for 45 minutes and just do something solely for me, not for anybody else, to just sit there, relax, watch my show, paint my nails, and it just makes me feel a little bit more confident. So just like things like that. Those are the things that I want to implement into my life. Taking walks while the weather is still nice. Going out and doing stuff with my boyfriend, doing stuff with my family. We went to Comic-Con over the weekend, and that's really not my vibe, but it was really, really fun to just be out with my family. I think that the reason I am a little bit afraid to have that downtime is because when you have downtime, you have time to think. I work so hard, and I know that, and I deserve everything that I have, yet I still don't let myself enjoy moments in life. I don't want you guys to worry about me because I'm not depressed. I don't think I'm depressed, at least. I'm a happy person. I still find joy in things, but in the back of my mind, that anxious part is like, oh, well, this could go wrong or this could go wrong. So that type of thing, like enjoying it, but also being like, oh, well, this bad thing could happen. Just a little funny story for you guys. I live on my own. I've lived on my own ever since the end of June, and I have my 2 cats and my boyfriend. I had gotten off work one night. I had gone to bed. I usually go to bed at like 9. I'm an old person. I wake up so early for work, wake up at like 5, so I try to get 8 hours of sleep. This was so ironic because I told him, I was like, yeah, I think I just want to try. And I'm really being personal with you guys because I want you guys to realize that I do have real problems, and you guys only see like such a small bit of my life through makeup, that these videos are so important to me. That way I can show you guys everything else, and that I have problems just like you do. I told my boyfriend, yeah, I think I want to go on anxiety medication just to try it and to see, you know, if it would work, because I think I told you guys once I started therapy that I was really, really reluctant to. He's out in the kitchen and he is sweeping, and he said he swept and there was something like stuck, like when he swept it kept getting stuck on the broom, and he was like, Anissa, there is a snake in the apartment. I do not do creepy crawlies. I don't do mice. I don't do spiders. I don't do snakes. I don't do any of it. Unless you're my cats, I really don't want any other animals in this apartment. I'm like freaking out. I jump up on the bar stool and I'm like hunched in a little ball like this, and I'm like, throw a knife at it, throw a knife at it. My younger cat is like over there like petting it like this, like kind of touching it because they don't have claws. So I called my mom, called my dad. Luckily, I live on the 1st floor, so I was waiting on somebody to come in to see if they had an emergency number, like a maintenance number to call or something. I actually met one of my neighbors, and he had given me his phone and he let me leave a voicemail. So I was like thinking, oh, maintenance isn't gonna come. Like, it's 10 o'clock at night, they're not gonna come. There's a little hole underneath the dishwasher, and my boyfriend thought that it was under there. He was like 100% sure. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just wait. And so my dad came over, he's looking, he doesn't see anything. I'm like, okay, well, if you think it's under there, then let's just get towels and stuff them underneath there. I don't know if that is like a fire hazard or whatever, but just a temporary solution until maintenance can come tomorrow. I walk into the bedroom, and as I'm walking, I see something in my peripheral, and it has like black and white stripes and is in a snake shape. I lost it. I lost my beans. Let me tell you, it was like 5 feet away from me, and that was way too close for me. I started freaking out, and I was like, guys, look, it's right there. It's right there. And my dad and my boyfriend are like, where? They're not seeing it. And I'm like, it's literally right there. So my dad is looking at it, and he's like this, taking pictures, getting up close to it. I'm like, y'all are stressing me out. Now keep in mind, it probably wasn't bigger than the size of my face, but it doesn't matter. It's the principle of the situation. I hear a knock on the door, and I thought it was my mom. So I'm like running towards the door, and I'm like, Mom, we found it. And I opened the door and it's the maintenance guy and he has these little grabbers. I was just so in the moment. I was like, I don't even care what's happening. So he was like, I just want to tell you, this is a first in my 28 years. This has never happened. And I'm like, yeah, I tend to have that effect on people. He gets it and he grabs it and it goes, that freaks me out. I'm like, get it out of here, drive it far away. Like, I don't care what you do. If you kill it, do whatever you want with it. And so I asked him, I was like, do you think that there are more than one? And he was like, no. He said, I asked him how it got in, and he said he probably thinks that it got in through the piping from underneath the dishwasher, which like low-key scares me that it could happen again. But at this point, I'm like, the odds. I slept awful that night. I was just so super paranoid. Like, I had a dream that a big snake was crawling up on me and I woke up. That is all that I have for you guys for this month. I say that's all, like it wasn't a lot, but I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you guys like these videos by giving it a thumbs up. If you do like them, lucky for you, I have a whole playlist full of Shop My Stash videos where I pick my makeup out with you guys and then we sit down and talk about what has been going on in my life outside of makeup. As always, you guys can let me know if you have any video request ideas that you would like. Leave them down in the comments, reviews. Thank you guys so much for watching and I will see you in the next one. Bye.